Prepare yourself, dancing.
So I just finished watching Dragon Ball Magic by Totally Not Mark and his team, including TeamFourStar, and I had not realized how many issues the storytelling had for Dragon Ball Daima until I watched it. It's an hour and a half and it's fully worth the watch. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below and the top comment. I urge you guys to go watch it. In this video, I will give you guys my take, the good and the bad from part 1, which is essentially like I believe it was like 5 episodes of Dragon Ball Magic in that part 1 from the episodes of Dragon Ball Daima. But essentially, it's an entirely different story at this point with the ingredients from Dragon Ball Daima. Like, they don't really go out of their way too much to add completely different things. It's not like Super Saiyan 18 shows up out of nowhere. It is all the stuff that Dragon Ball Daima had, but almost reorganized, reconceptualized, and characters are giving new conversations, new storylines, and just a new rhythm to everything. Now, by the end, it gets a little bit different, but it's 5 episodes. So I urge you guys to go watch it yourselves. I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description below and the top comment. Make sure you go ahead and check it out yourself. Now I'm going to start with the good and give you guys my thoughts on the things that this first part 1 of Dragon Ball Magic has done really, really well. And then give you guys some of the things that I feel like they definitely could work on a little bit more. But the Dragon Ball Magic focus on giving Goma something to do and to be as a main character as possible, almost outshining or almost competing with Goku, is such a great decision, because that is one of the biggest issues of Daima that anybody who watched Daima can see right off the bat. Because right in the very beginning, we get Goma actually not only using an experimental, almost like a key suction device, which we've seen a lot throughout Dragon Ball. We've seen it on the androids, we've seen it with Cell, we've seen other people steal other people's ki, but this device allows Goma to kill people by sucking out their ki, by taking away their life force, essentially. But it's not only that, he also has magic, he has gravitas, he is evil, he's not just comic relief, right? Daima had him be just comic relief, have him be essentially a goof up until the very end when the third eye falls into his lap, and then he becomes an actual threat. In this, he's a dictator, and I like that. Is such a great story change, because to the extent that Dragon Ball Magic goes to change him to be just such a despicable character in a Dragon Ball sense, not even like something like as crazy as you would see like in other anime series, but just in Dragon Ball sense, not pushing too much of the limits, because he's not over there like obliterating or committing like any sort of genocide or anything, but what he's doing is evil, and the propaganda that he's pushing and his message, like Goma is everywhere here. He takes control for himself in the very beginning. Goku almost fights him right off the bat, but Goma is such a central character to this. He even is menacing. He tortures his own subordinates. He's taking ki from the land through siphons. He's taking ki from the residents, from the other demons. The collars that we get like 2 seconds of in Dragon Ball Daima are a huge part of what makes this story work, because it was very interesting to have those in Daima. When I first saw them, I was like, wow, this kind of sucks, but these things have been implemented in Daima for thousands of years. That's just the way the third demon realm operated. Like, they were like the lesser of, they were the weaklings, they were the ones that were the poorest. But in Daima, all that comes from Goma. or in Magic, all that comes from Goma. Goma's the one that is using these collars to keep these people in line. It's something new that it was implemented from him. It's almost like he's a 10 times worse version of Deborah. Like, Deborah really didn't care about that stuff. He only cared about himself. He didn't care about, like, controlling everything in that sense to that degree. He just was very selfish, including his father, it seems like. But Goma is just, he's got like Napoleonic syndrome. He's got little man syndrome. He wants to be taken seriously. He wants to be the big man on campus. He ends up even fighting Goku, and Goku, because he has no control over his little body, cannot fight him, and he thinks that's hilarious. The wish to make Goku and his friends small is something that is a byproduct of Goku arriving on the lookout prematurely before the wish is completed. Before the original wish, which we don't know right now what it is, was completed. So it's not like that was the main goal. And I like that. I really like that, because Goma has so much potential. I like his design. He's a lot cooler than Zeno. Like, even though like they look similar, that's why I compare them. Very goofy characters, very similar looking, but he's a lot cooler. Even his voice acting. The voice acting in this is phenomenal, by the way. That goes without saying. It's TeamFourStar. But the voice acting for Goma is so spot on. And I like it. And we get to see how he's torturing these people. We get to see it from a bird's eye view, because they actually help the people that are there. It's a far better and darker story for it. And it fleshes him out to be an actual big bad, instead of just being a guy that they eventually have to fight at the very end. And that's something that Dragon Ball Magic does very well. Every time they make a change, they explain why they make it. And so it's not just like you're watching a what if, or a versus, or a fan manga or fan animation, where you're kind of having to like figure things out on your own a little bit as to what they mean. No, in this we get to see what they're doing, what the changes that they're making, and how they're making them, and then we get to see, like, we have to get the explanation as to why those changes were made. And that's how I started realizing that Daima, maybe I'm thinking about it with rose-colored glasses, because I really did like the series from animation-wise, conceptually, what it looked like, all that stuff. I really like Daima. I think it's the best looking, consistently best looking anime, better than Dragon Ball Z, because consistently it doesn't have a bad episode the way it looks. Dragon Ball Z has way better episodes, but Dragon Ball Z also has episodes that don't look very good. Super has a ton of them. Daima is consistent, just like My Hero, just like other anime, like Attack on Titan. It's consistent, right? But again, Daima does have a lot of issues in storytelling, and what we find out from Totally Not Mark is that they actually started creating the anime before the story was completed, which I did not know. How is that possible in the big 2025? I don't get it. And they need to stop doing that, man. It's like Boruto all over again. Not as bad, but when you start cooking without having the recipe, then you end up with things that don't make sense, or fusion bugs that don't get paid off. Things don't get paid off, basically. You need to have the full story first, and that's something that this does very well. Another thing is the power scaling is accurate here, because we do get to see in Daima that Goku has to kind of relearn being in his tiny body, but we get that from him for like an episode or two. Less than that, not even a full one. And Vegeta and Piccolo, they basically are like, they learn it right away. Like, they figured it out with off screen. We don't get to see that, right? And so in this, the entirety, what makes the stakes so high is that Goku cannot fight Goma because he doesn't know how to fight in his little body. Vegeta and Piccolo are the same way. Now, Goku goes through training montages throughout this. He actually trains with the demons at the king's castle. I forget, the King Kaban, I think his name is, the one when they go to the castle and they ask for a plane to go pick up the rest of them. That castle scene, instead of him just taking out all those goons relatively easily, he actually trains there to get his body and his mind right, to be able to figure out how to use his powers, right? And how to use his abilities. And I like that. But what I like even more is the fact that we get to see Vegeta and Piccolo spar against each other. We get to see a fight. Such a huge missed opportunity. I do like that they fight together. That's something that we never get to see them do ever, really. And we get to see them do that in Daima when they first hit the demon realm. But to fighting against each other, no. We don't get to see that. And the way they were explaining it, how they're so similar, and they try to figure out a way to change them up and make them, like, their fighting abilities and techniques a little bit more different, because, you know, Piccolo isn't Namekian. I like that they did that, because Piccolo and Vegeta, they basically fight one-on-one, and they kind of learn from each other. They end up training their little bodies against each other to the point where Vegeta realistically outdoes Piccolo because he is stronger at this point toward the end. But I love it how in the beginning, the only way that they even got to this point is Vegeta was fighting Trunks and couldn't beat him, because Trunks is a Super Saiyan. He knows how to control and use his little body, and Vegeta didn't. So Vegeta was kind of upset about that. He didn't take that as a challenge. He took that as disrespect. I love that. I love that. And that's just something that keeps going forward. The entire story is about them, at least in this first part, is about them relearning how to use their bodies, how to use their abilities. And it's not just like they are just crazy strong and buffed out all out the rip. That's not what's happening here. And I'm glad that that's not what's happening here. I'm really glad. I'm really happy that they are cooking these so that we have a bigger payoff in a few more episodes. And now we get to what I would do better in this story specifically. And for me, honestly, the biggest, not the biggest issue, but it's what happened at the very end. So right now I'm going to go into spoilers for that very ending part of this Dragon Ball Magic. And I'm not going to go through every detail of it, but I am going to go through a little bit of it. Because we enter a city that is basically kind of like Crime City. It's like Sin City. It's like Las Vegas. It's like that first bar scene but 10 times worse, because that first bar scene had a bunch of like misfits and criminals. I like that. Not everybody in the demon realm is like a criminal. Like we are first introduced to them in Daima. In Magic, they're not. But in this city, they are. And there's a competition, there's a contest, and yeah, this part right here is where I was a little bit like, I feel like this could have been executed a little bit better, because the Minotaur says something like kind of like sus, but even what he said something along the lines of, I hand out my promises, or something along those lines, right? That wording meant it so like Glorio and the Supreme Kai were like a little bit more suspicious, and then they go through this little side plot where they send the little girl whose name escapes me. They send her to go get this key they need to be able to pass through to the next world, essentially. And that whole thing is brand new. That city's brand new. The Minotaur being a boss basically is brand new. Them taking people out of the tournament and putting them and siphoning their energy. I was hoping for more of a actual tournament. That's what I thought. But because Glorio and Goku like take out everybody so easily, essentially, then they fight each other a little bit, but then they take out everybody easily, and they let themselves have collars on them for whatever reason. Like, I feel like the excuse to put collars on them just because you're in a tournament doesn't make any sense, seeing as how, like, in the tournament you'd think in Crime City, you'd have to go ham at each other. You'd have to fight each other, like, in this, like, underbelly, to the point where, like, they even go out of their way and say Goma doesn't even reach here, basically, essentially, which is, they're essentially wrong by the end of it. But you would think that, why would, and then there's like a tournament, right? Why would they willingly put on collars? Why would they even offer collars to them? What would be the point if they go all out? That's the point. They have to go all out. So I thought that excuse to put the collars on them was a little bit weak. I am interested in seeing where it goes from here, because a couple characters are introduced that kind of remind me of Star Wars. and going in a direction that I think that I was actually curious as to why Daima didn't go, the bounty hunter direction. Like, Daima doesn't have not one bounty hunter really that I can think of that's memorable that hunts any of these guys down whatsoever. Oh, and I'm even like glossing over the Majin Ku stuff because I would have completely changed Majin Ku. like the fact that they kept Majin Ku in here, like that's like the one thing that people were like thinking that they should have changed the most in Daima, but he's still in Dragon Ball Magic. He is stronger and more respected because, not stronger, but he's more like, he's got more abilities that Arinzu respects, you know, because of that little match that he had against the I think it was a Chimera or something. So that respect, I like that more because I do think that Majin Ku, like, I like the fact that she finally gave him the respect at the very end, basically. But Majin Ku is not a character that I'm like holding on to, like, oh, I really want him in here. Majin Du, on the other hand, is great. I would have much preferred something along the lines of melding Majin Du and Majin Ku together into something that Arinzu really can control, and it backfires on her. That's what I was hoping for. Going down the same line as, say, Bibbidi or Bobbidi or whatever. And maybe she has a form of controlling this creature, but then the creature figures out how to get it undone and then turns on her. Something along those lines, because I know it's been overdone, the creature, the monster, Frankenstein's monster attacking Frankenstein with Dr. Gero and Bibbidi. It's been overdone, but there's a reason that is, even Cell Max, there's a reason why that is the standard. Because when you start playing like this with forces you can't hope to understand, you shouldn't be creating gag characters as a result. You should be creating like actual monsters. And the imminent threat level of, even just with the new characters that were added at the end of this with Dragon Ball Magic, the imminent threat level to me still needed to be raised. I know Goma's a lot stronger and a lot more magic fueled and a lot more powerful than he was in Daima. That's fine, but he's not strong enough to face off against a fully formed Goku, a fully formed Vegeta, and a fully formed Piccolo. Absolutely not. Even with the magic, he's not. And so then you have just Arinzu, and Arinzu has the Ku and Du. But imagine she had something else. This would be the perfect opportunity to get rid of those characters and add a brand new character. At least that's like what I would have done, right? But ultimately, that's just me being like nitpicky, really, because it is a really good episode. I liked it a lot, and I'm just nitpicking a little bit of it. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of it if you've seen it already, and if you haven't, go watch it expeditiously, because it is probably the coolest new thing that has been added to the Dragon Ball community. And if there's anything else that you guys want me to look at that other creators have made that I can give shout outs to, let me know in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys.
Subscribe for more content.